Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So the present Apple iPad lineup is at its peak when it comes to confusion. It's really hard to put a finger on which iPad you need to buy. So having extensively used all these iPads, here's my take on which iPad you should buy in 2022. Hope it helps, and if it does, do comment down below and let me know. So the official iPad lineup at the moment is this: base entry iPad Gen 9 starting at $329 with A13 Bionic chip and base 64 gig storage. Then we have the new controversial entry, the iPad 10th generation, starting at $449 with A14 Bionic chip and the same 64 gigs base storage. Then we have the iPad mini 6th gen starting at $499 with A15 Bionic chip and the same 64 gigs base storage. Next is the excellent iPad Air 5th generation starting at $599 with the M1 chip and 64 gigabytes of base storage. Then we have the iPad Pro 11-inch starting at $799 with a blazing fast M2 chip and 128 gigabytes of base storage. Finally, iPad Pro 12.9 inches starting at $999 with again the same blazing M2 chip and 128 gigabytes of base storage. Few things you have to remember before we start. Base storage on all these iPads is 64 gigs and only the Pros you get 128 gigs as the base storage. Next, on all iPads there isn't a cheaper $50 price add-on to give you additional storage. As soon as you want to bump up the storage, the iPad's price shoots up significantly. And finally, in the UK at the moment, Apple hiked up all their prices, but authorized resellers like Amazon, Currys, John Lewis are still honoring the original price. So unless you want the engraving and you're willing to pay £100 extra for it, buy from the resellers. Now, let's look at each iPad first, and then in the end, I'll give you my suggestions. First is the iPad 9th generation. This is the only iPad in Apple's iPad lineup that still sports the old design. At 10.2 inches screen size with thick bezels and the excellent home button Touch ID, this iPad looks same as the iPad Air which I have here from 2013. But it is very well built, and this should be the iPad to buy if you want to get that full iPad experience at the lowest cost. Featuring A13 Bionic chip with 4 gigs of RAM, this iPad zips through everyday tasks and can even take on pro jobs like 4K video editing and multitasking to the max like a champ. You get Apple Pencil Gen 1 support, which is smooth and really good despite having a weird charging method. And yes, you will need a case to carry it, but we use cases anyways on the iPad. Also, the non-laminated display here, it doesn't make a huge difference, especially when you put a screen protector on your iPad. Cameras wise, you have 8 million pixel wide angle camera at the back and 12 million pixels ultra wide at the front, supporting center stage functionality. So it's really good for video calls. Now the biggest downside of this iPad, mainly keeping that low cost into consideration, is the absence of stereo speakers. So volume comes only from one end, which means if you want to fully enjoy your content and movies, you need to use headphones or external speakers. Next is the most tricky entry which Apple recently released, the iPad 10th generation. With a very decent A14 Bionic chip and 4 gigs of RAM under the hood, this iPad packs in plenty of punch to handle even multitasking and pro apps like a champ. Borrowing that modern all-screen design from the iPad Air and Pro models, this iPad looks modern and is the ideal iteration to that base iPad 9th generation. Screen size is 10.9 inches, Touch ID gets moved to the power button, and the excellent USB-C port is added to it, and this iPad fixes the biggest drawback of that 9th gen iPad by adding proper stereo speakers. So you can enjoy all your videos and blockbusters just by relying on the internal speakers. Decent 12 million pixels rear and front cameras with the front one supporting center stage. However, the eye-watering cost of this one at $449 American or 499 Great British pounds, this one is really hard to recommend. And despite that modern design, it still supports only Apple Pencil Gen 1 with a weird charging solution. The screen again is non-laminated and it doesn't support the wide P3 color gamut. Now, we can overlook all these shortcomings if the price of this was same as what the iPad Gen 9 costs. Sadly, that's not the case, and personally, I would recommend this iPad the least out of all iPads featured in this video today. And if your heart is really set on this one, then unofficially get the iPad Air 4, as it is the same tablet but with better display and Apple Pencil Gen 2 support. Apple doesn't sell it, but you can get it for lower cost from third-party resellers. Next is the iPad mini 6th Gen. Now guys, for me personally, this iPad stands on its own and doesn't really compete with any other iPads in Apple's iPad lineup, as there really is nothing like it. At 8.3 inches super sharp screen and 316 ppi, this iPad weighs almost next to nothing. The only reason why you would buy this iPad is because portability is your top priority and you wouldn't mind sacrificing screen real estate for that. And if that's the case, then what you get is an amazing tablet with A15 Bionic chip under the hood with 4 gigs of RAM, amazing Apple Pencil Gen 2 support, all-screen design with power button Touch ID, excellent stereo speakers and USB-C port. The cameras are pretty decent as well, with 12 million pixels front and rear, again with the front supporting center stage functionality. Honestly guys, for gaming, I don't think any other iPad can compete with the mini when it comes to ease of use. And this iPad felt most comfortable holding in one hand and writing with Apple Pencil on the other hand, something which is very handy if you're a student or if you want to jot down notes on the go. Things you lose is screen size, and it does make apps, especially the ones designed for iPad OS, looked cramped, and Pro apps you get even smaller panes to work on. Guys, just before moving on to the next iPads, if you're enjoying my video until now, please hit that like button to show your support, and whilst you're there, please subscribe to my channel so I can keep making these videos for you. Next, the iPad in the Goldilocks zone, the M1 iPad Air. I was actually surprised that Apple would give you the full-blown 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU, M1 chip with 8 gigs of RAM for their mid-tier cost, which in comparison, even the base M1 MacBook Air doesn't have. This iPad has got everything you need from a tablet belonging in 2022. That all-screen design with 10.9 inches screen size, stereo speakers, Apple Pencil Gen 2 support, and USB port with laminated display, and the display supporting full wide color gamut. It also has decent 12 million pixels front and rear cameras, and this is the iPad to buy if you want a modern looking decent tablet which will be future proof for years to come. Also, due to the M1 chip in the iPad, you get support to the new Stage Manager multitasking feature, which besides this iPad, only the Pro model support. Biggest downside is still the storage option, which is at 64 gigs base storage, and the only option to upgrade it will push the cost towards iPad Pro territory. Next, the latest entry into iPad lineup, the M2 iPad Pro. Now, as if the M1 chip from last year is not powerful enough, Apple pushes their latest M2 silicon into the iPad Pros as well. Now, what's the real reason for you to opt for an iPad Pro? Please don't say the ultra-wide cameras or the LiDAR scanner or the Face ID system. More understandable requirements will be that 128 gigabytes of base storage which you get, or the excellent ProMotion display, or you want a huge laptop like 12.9-inch display which only the Pro models offer. These requirements should be strong reasons for you to opt for the Pros and pay that additional cash. And if they are, then the 11-inch iPad is the form factor which I personally prefer. Even adding the Magic Keyboard accessory, it makes it decent to be more productive. The 12.9-inch is an absolute beast and it requires a bit more careful handling. I felt that the big screen iPad is most comfortable on the desk, with portability being an occasional aspect. Now, if you get this big 12.9-inch size iPad, then you also get that insane mini LED display, which I say is simply awesome. No other iPads offer this at the moment, and testing this display with other iPad displays, you really see the magic of that mini LED technology. The speaker quality on the iPad Pros also is a touch above the rest, as you get quad speaker setup, whereas on the other iPads, besides that base iPad, you only get 2 speakers set up. This year you also get Apple Pencil hover feature, which picks up the Apple Pencil signal before you touch the screen, giving you a marker that helps you determine precise location. Very helpful for artists. And the iPad Pros are the only iPads that come with more than one camera at the back. So you get 12 million pixels wide and 10 million pixels ultra wide cameras at the back with True Tone flash, and a 12 million pixels ultra wide true depth camera at the front, which gives you Face ID and center stage. So that's all the iPads covered. So finally, where do we stand? First, if I had to recommend one iPad, just one from that list to everyone, then that would be the M1 iPad Air. It's a perfect iPad, giving you that modern design and features a tablet should have in 2022. And it's got plenty going to it to make it totally future-proof. But yeah, only get the base 64GB storage and make do with external storage devices or iCloud storage if you need that additional storage. And don't buy it from Apple in the UK. Like I mentioned, other authorized resellers are selling it for the original cost and not the hiked up price which Apple is selling for. If you're shopping on a budget, then I'd recommend the iPad 9th Gen. I know you miss out on the stereo speakers, but this iPad has got plenty going for it in terms of power, iPad experience and features, and at that $329 price, this iPad is the best value for money. Now, if portability is your utmost priority, then the only way to go is iPad mini 6. And finally, if you're looking for a laptop replacement, don't mind spending quite a bit for that setup, then the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is going to be the step in the right direction. Finally, what do I choose? Well, for me, it is the 11-inch iPad Pro. Yeah, I don't recommend this to you guys, but my needs are a bit different. I edit all videos that you see on my channel using the iPad Pro. I don't like the 12.9-inch as it was too big and uncomfortable for me. With my 11-inch iPad Pro, I can comfortably work from anywhere in the house, even on a couch or a bed. Plus, after using 64GB for years on the iPad, I felt 128 gigs offered a room for a breather, and I didn't mind spending a bit more for that. Plus, the promotion is a bonus. Now, I'm not an artist to take full advantage of that, but I do get that on the Pro, so might as well enjoy it. Now, just one more point on the Pros, guys. If you can get the last year's M1 iPad Pros for a discount, then by all means do consider it, as they are pretty solid iPads, and even the M1 chip is really like an overkill for the iPad for the stuff most of us want to do on it. I just can't believe that Apple made them outdated just within a year by releasing the M2 iPad Pros. But yes, by all means, if you find good deals on the M1 iPad Pro, go for it. So that's my lengthy take on all the iPads, guys. I hope that this helps you, and if it does, please do comment down below and let me know. And whilst you're there, if you like my video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing so I can keep making these videos for you. And as always, thanks a lot for staying with me until the end. I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.